What it is, y'all, it's your old boy Pilkin. I'm coming back today with another Dokkan battle video. Now, today we are going to do our best to try to get maximum damage out of Physical Rose. Now, at first you got to look at this team and you go, what is with this team? Let me explain, okay? First things first, you got to understand that Physical Rose, in my opinion, has been criminally underrated. What I mean by that is a lot of people don't understand what this guy is actually doing and the damage output that he's capable of, at least as of a couple days ago when this guy came out and everyone was kind of like, lukewarm on him. So what I want to do is I want to do maximum offense testing, see what he can do. Now, each and every time this guy attacks, in one turn, he is stacking. So what we need to do is we need to get him every possible potential to get that extra attack, that double attack that we get with skill orbs and whatnot. So what I've done is, let's go to the details here. I've given him a level 2, because that's the max you can do, combo attack on a bronze orb, and a level 5 combo attack on a silver orb. Now, this gets him to a sum total at 55%, mind you, because I want to do this without any dupes. I want this to be a pure, what is this guy capable of without any dupes, without any modification, right? 55% test. That's a maximum of 12, level 12, which is what, like a 20-ish percent? I don't remember the exact numbers. It's a good percentage chance for him to get that. But here's the deal. Every time this guy gets a rainbow sphere, he is going to get an extra attack. So with a maximum of 5 rainbow spheres, this dude can get up to 8 total attacks before getting his extra attack, right? Now, those 5 attacks are not going to be SAs. That's kind of the messed up thing. You can do 3 SAs and then 5 extra attacks that aren't necessarily going to be SAs, just basic attacks. However, each one of those does still stack like it were an SA. It's kind of crazy how it works, but this is what I'm saying. By that final attack, this dude is stacking into that final SA. That final SA works like any other SA with all the prior stacking. That attack should be the one that makes you go, this dude's nuts, right? It's kind of like manufacturing a perfect world scenario. Now, to do this, we need a long event. I was thinking SBR, but SBR just didn't last long enough for us to do it. So we're going to jump here into one of the legendary events. In fact, one of the ones that I've been neglecting hard, basically since it dropped. But the legendary GT Goku event should give us enough turns to get this out there. Now, while I'm doing that, the one thing you want to consider here are also his links. Now, Int Black will perfectly line up with Physical Rose with one exception, and that is the Super Saiyan link. So, I have 1, 2, 3. Well, slot 3, 4, and 6. I've got units that have the Super Saiyan link that would work perfectly. Slot 5, I have Physical Black, and you're probably looking at that going, you are going to get murdered. You're absolutely right. That's why we have the items down below, so that we don't get taken apart. But Physical Black is here because he changes spheres to rainbow spheres, right? And he's a super boss unit, which means we can get rainbow spheres, and worst case scenario, we get him on the wrong rotation, we could still get our active skill off. And that's the important part. We can get to 4 turns with a rotation that is all super bosses, i.e., Int Rose or Physical in a pinch. Int Black with Physical in a pinch, Physical Rose, and the AGL Universe 6 Super Saiyans. That rotation on turn 4 will actually give us a potential active skill. Other than that, just anything after turn 6 would give us one. So we've got an opportunity here to not only get maximum damage, we also have the opportunity to get our active skill off and see what we can do. So that is the goal here. Okay, so we have a situation here that isn't what I would call optimal, but it's functional, right? So I have a number of yellow spheres here, and we should be able to get 3 rainbow spheres if we play our cards right. And I will emphasize if we play our cards right, because if I drop these down wrong, I could mess this all up. So I'm going to be pretty cautious about how I do this. I want to keep these 3 spheres in rotation. So I'm going to actually put int black at the back because I did kind of mess this up. Physical black is incoming, so physical black should still give us max links. This is not the optimal situation, and I'm going to drop a Ghost Usher just because I don't want to get, like, you know, smacked around here. He is a physical unit. We do mostly int units. Or so the Goku we're fighting is physical. So we're going to do this. That still gave me triple orbs. That's perfect. So we've got 3 rainbow orbs. So we're still, like, right on par. Doesn't really matter what I do here, but I'm going to try not to expend any rainbow orbs if I can, just because I'm going to probably need those later. So let's see what happens here. Now, this is not perfect, but this is definitely, you know, like, functional. This will give us a good base count of what we can expect out of him later on. Yeah, not really worried about Vegeta here. All right, so 2.87 mil attack stat for the first attack. And this does 1.15, okay? 3.9 mil attack stat. 3.9 mil attack stat. Why do I feel like this isn't my Goku Black? Maybe it is. Maybe he's just that good. Okay. 5.66. Third attack. And then we get our 7.9 mil attack stat out of this final SA. So we would get so much more if we got all 5 attacks. So, and here comes another one. 9.3 mil. So I thought the extra attacks wouldn't be SAs. Low. What? All right, I got to go back. And I got to do some arithmetic on that. But let me first of all make sure that was my physical rose and not a friend unit. Because no, that was mine. That was at 55%. Let's do some quick arithmetic on that. So I spent a decent amount of time actually mathing all this out, going over the numbers, and here's what we came up with, okay? So attack number 1, which was our first SA, was 2.877-ish million. Attack stat, which came out to be a 1.159 actual attack. So roughly about a 40% reduction in attack. The other attack, the second attack, was 3.39, or 3.93. I'm sorry, I always get that backwards. 3.93 attack stat with a 1.625 attack, which is about a 41% drop in damage. So I've been able to math roughly what our attack stats were and everything, so I can calculate roughly our max damage we got on this. Now, this is not including criticals, because we don't have critical built in at 55%. You would actually have to add critical in, and it would be silly to do that. You really would do one double attack. Now, the interesting thing is the way his passive is built, you do your base attack, you get your orbs, and then if you have up to 5 attacks, you could get up to 2 extra attacks after the orbs. Now, I thought initially that our extra attack from getting the orbs and all that would actually happen at the very tail end of all this. Apparently, it happens after the first attack. It's very strange, because the way the passive is built, like I said, you do 1 attack, you get your orbs. Remember, your orb attacks are base attacks. Then you can have 1 attack and a possible second if you've done 5 attacks. So, to get those 5 attacks, they seem to have put the extra attacks somewhere at the beginning of all this. So if you roll for that extra attack, you get it there. But I'm still willing to bet it's going to roll on all of the other attacks, which is very confusing, but that's basically what you need to know, is that that extra attack, like I thought initially when we were talking about it, isn't going to happen at the end. It's going to happen basically at the beginning. It's very strange. It's a weird build for this unit. But first attack is 2.877. Second attack, which was our extra attack we rolled for, was a 3.939. 3.939, okay? Now, our third attack, which was our first base level attack, was not an SA, was a 459k, which came out to be about 647 attack stat after it was all calculated. Our second base attack, our fourth attack overall, was 566, which if you calculate it out is about 1.4 million, give or take. Now, our third attack, because we only got 3 orbs, third base attack, was a 685k, which came out to be about a 1.71 attack stat equivalent. And I'll cover why attack stats are important. So, little over half a mil, then 1.4 mil, so it jumped up really, really fast. And then 1.7 mil. So it's, in fact, I'm wondering if that attack stat on attack 3 is calculated wrong, but it's in my arithmetic. It is what it is. This may actually be a lower number. I'm going to guess it probably should be, well, actually, no, if it's 40%, it's probably pretty close. Anyway, doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. We're going to go with the numbers. Just understand that the numbers that I'm going to give you might be a hair low. Now, on the attacks we saw, attack number 6, which was our first of our potential extra essays at the end, was 7,958,000, etc., etc. And then our second one, which was because we got 5 attacks, was then 9,341,000. Now, all said and done, approximately, because I had to approximate some of these attack stats, that gives us a total potential, attack stat in that one turn of 27.893 million. And once again, I want to emphasize that might be on the low side. It could be north of 28 million. So that's a really solid hit. But I want to emphasize we only got 3 of potential 5 rainbow orbs. Okay? So I calculated it out. I spent a bunch of time doing the math on this. If we got 2 extra base attacks on the same math, the 4th base attack would have been over a 2 million attack stat. The 5th base attack would have been a 2.386 million base attack stat. Now, once you get to attack number 8, that is going to be an 11.103 million. And then the final attack, attack number 9, the final attack we could potentially get in this build would then be 12.769, a 12.8 million attack stat. And I hope you're sitting down. This means that in total, potentially on this turn, attack stat-wise, we could have had a subtotal of 38.893. That actually could be north of 39 million, assuming that my math on number 3 is wrong, which I'm starting to really second guess. But let's just say for the sake of argument, that is a 39 million total attack stat just on that turn. And then consider that could potentially be type advantage. Let's say you're fighting somebody that's int attack. That full damage could really be doubled if you have type advantage. So that is an insane number. 39 to 40 million attack stat total overall 10 hits is insane. Very few units in this game can produce that kind of damage with their basic numbers. Now there are a few. There are actually a few out there. So I'm not saying this puts this unit like in the top tier, but I am saying like damage wise, it's potentially up there. This is a solid unit damage wise. And the best part is we haven't even seen what we can do once he gets his active skill. So we should have, I want to say 4. I want to say this is going to give us 4 potential rainbow orbs. 4 rainbow orbs. So that's going to basically, we're only going to be 1 attack shy on that. So we'll be pretty darn close to what we could potentially produce. So let's see what this is able to accomplish, okay? So remember, attack number 1 is going to be, it should be an SA. Attack number 2 should be our extra attack, should be also be an SA. So, I didn't actually see what the attack stat was on that one, but 2.3 mil with the critical hit. Oh, here we go. 3.8 mil attack stat on the first attack. So we already know this is going to be wild. Okay, so we have a basic attack, number 1. Basic attack number 2. Basic attack number 3. Basic attack number 4. Now we're going into our SA, which is an 11 mil. So we didn't get our extra attack, so I'll have to calculate that out. Okay? Then a 13 mil attack. That's pretty crazy. So I will actually need to math out what that would be when we get all of our attacks. So do bear with me for a moment. We'll do a little math here. So I've done some number crunching, and I have what I think is a conclusive answer here. So there are some unknown variables in this, so I've had to take some liberties with numbers, but there are some pretty solid approximations here. So here we go. So in our prior attempt, once he had transformed, we got a 3.837 million attack stat. Then we started to get some base attacks. Now, we can approximate how much those base attacks, actually their attack stat would equivalent to, because it doesn't really give us the number. So approximately, the attack number 2, our first base attack, would equivalent to like a 1.0 million-ish. The second attack is 1.3. Second attack after that is 1.7, 1.744 to be exact. And then we're at 2.073 million for the fourth physical attack, for the fourth normal attack. Then you'll notice that the attack stat jumps all the way up to 11 million and then 13.391 million to finish that off. That's 7 attacks totaling 34.53 million attack stat. But that's only 7 of our potential 9 attacks. Now, I'm not going to include the Dokkan damage in here. It's really wonky how that actually averages out. I will tell you, I did a damage test with Dokkan, and they came out to be about 5-ish million attack stat. But because it's the first attack, it really doesn't equate too much there. So, let's talk about full damage, okay? Realistically, what could you produce if you got... And I'm not even going to say... So, let's talk passive here for a second. Because you got to understand how the passive works, okay? So, key plus 2 attack and defense, 222%. Attacks effective against all types. Reduce damage received by 66% before attacking. Randomly changes spheres to except physical spheres to rainbow spheres. Launches an additional attack that has a rare chance of becoming a super attack per rainbow sphere obtained. So, in theory, all night attacks could be SAs. But all night attacks are simply not going to be SAs. That's not realistic. It could happen. It's highly unlikely. So I didn't include that in my equation here. If we did include that, the number would be astronomical and it'd be stupid. As is, the number's ridiculous. But that would be insane. Okay? So, then launches an additional attack that has a great chance of becoming a super attack, which we saw in the last one, and launches an additional super attack every time the character attacks 5 times. So, since we have 9 total attacks, we're not getting that twice, we're only going to get that once. So, here's what I did. I used the baseline attack that we got last time, the 3.837 million attack. Assume that's the first attack. It will vary a little bit. There will be some variables in there, but I use that as my base attack. Now, calculating our second attack as the SA, just like it was in our first attempt, that now that we've seen that extra attack is going to be on that, basically on that first attack, I approximated that out to be about 5.18 million attack stat. Okay? So we have a 3.837, then a 5.18 million attack stat. That's attack number 2. Okay? So we've already done well over 8, almost 9 million damage. Okay? Then, the first just normal base attack will already be at 989,000, almost a million damage. The next normal base attack will be 1.2 million. Then it goes up to 1.571, 1.94, and 2.455 million damage on 5 base attacks. Now, if you get an SA in there, that number is going to skyrocket. But right now, I'm assuming each one of those attacks is going to be, because it is a rare chance. It's like, I forget what the exact percentage is, but let's assume it's like a 10% chance. Odds are, you're not getting that. Could happen. Odds are pretty bad, though. So I'm assuming that's not going to be the case. Assuming that's not the case, assuming we have 5 base attacks on each one of those, attack number 8. So we had 2 SAs, now 5 regular attacks. Attack number 8 is an SA. It's a great chance to be an SA, so I'm assuming it's an SA. 16.32 million attack stat. Finally, our final SA will be a 19.798, basically a 20 mil-ish attack stat, which is insane. Anybody who says a 20 mil attack is weak is, number 1, lying to themselves. Number 2, you're not accounting for the other 8 attacks that happened prior to that. The full attack stat damage that you will incur will be 5. I'm sorry. No, wrong decimal place. 53.374 million damage in 1 turn. This dude, built right, is a beast. An absolute unit. Now, he does have, damage-wise, or say defensive-wise, he does have, a good amount of defense too. So I would argue this guy really deserves an S-class or better ranking right now. This guy is ridiculous. And if you're not seeing the numbers, it means you're simply not building him right. Now, here's the thing. I will admit, I build him with the idea that he was always linking with the Super Saiyan and with Goku Black. You may not always see that, so you're probably not going to see 53 million every single time you use him. Plus, you're not always going to get the extra attack. I'm going to assume it's the extra attack rolls on the first roll. It's very strange how that actually played out. I got to do more testing on it. But all said and done, 53 million is probably a low roll. Like, that's I would say lowest possible situation. And even then, that is insane. So there you guys go. Like, comment, share. This dude's just an absolute hoss. Argue with me in the comments if you really feel brave. And I'll catch you guys on the next Dokkan Battle video.